We're going to put it up. Today's message comes to us from the book of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 12 through 17. Jesus entered the temple area and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of money changers and the benches of those selling doves. "It is written," he said to them, "My house will be called the house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." The blind and the lame came to him at the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the teachers of the law saw the wonderful things he did, and the children shouting in the temple area, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they were indignant. "Do you hear what these children are saying?" they asked him. "Yes," Jesus replied. "Have you never read, 'From the lips of children and infants you have ordained praise'?" And he left them and went out of the city to Bethlehem, where he spent the night. And here ends the reading. So, just backing up a little bit, trying to understand what is happening here in this passage. We see that there are folks whom Jesus refers to as robbers, thieves. And oftentimes when we think of thieves, we think of people who get dressed up in black outfits and sneak into houses and take television sets and radios and jewelry or whatever they can get their hands on. But this is obviously not the case. He's referring here to leading citizens of the community, and he's calling them thieves and robbers. Now, why is he calling them thieves and robbers? The people are coming to the temple, exchanging their money and getting money back so that they can make their offerings to God. And so there's money involved here. It's an economic situation. And these people, they are willingly participating. Right? So the folks are coming, nobody is making them come. But there is something else going on here. There is, they are coming voluntarily, but there is a coercive voluntariness. There's societal norms. They have to come to make their offerings. So they are told that they have to come to be right with God. And Jesus has another idea. He sees what they are doing as oppressive, economically oppressive. These people are economically oppressing the 99%. The 1% is economically oppressing the 99%. What does Jesus do about it? Pacifist overturns the tables. He sends the animals scurrying. He drives out the tax collectors. He approaches the economic situation in a very real way, a concrete way. And so the question we have today, what does this mean to us? We're living in a society now where there are a class of people, and if Jesus were here today, I believe he would call them thieves. What does that mean to us as faithful people who are trying to follow leader, showed us what he did in his time. What can we do in our time? What can we do in our time? And friends, I have to tell you right now, it is time for the meek to inherit. It is time for us to live out the blessings of the peacemaker. It is time for us to hold the thieves accountable as Jesus held thieves accountable in his time. It is time for the love of God to come through us and manifest itself in a real way in the world. It is time. It is time. It's time for these things to happen. Now, I'm sure there are many folks in this room that agree that this is time. It is time for us to do something which is similar to what Jesus did in his time, was turning tables over. A business is no longer conducted over tables by themselves. There's a lot of different ways which business is conducted. In his time, he got in the way of business as usual. What does that example say to us as we are trying to figure out how to make God's love manifest in the world? What is it saying to us? And one thing it says to me is that the thieves of today's time are corporations. Corporations are doing things which are immoral, which are causing human suffering in the world. Now, when we as a movement, or when we individually look at the corporate structure, it is daunting. It's Goliath. It's armored. It's armored with McDonald's symbols, with Michelin symbols, with every sort of corporate symbol we can think of. All laid over protectively over this thieving system of thieves, systematic stealing. Friends, it's my belief that there is a systematic theft operation going on right now in America, in the world, and it's called the corporate structure. It's called capitalism. Systematic theft. The rich are getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. And what are we supposed to do about it? What can be done? I ask myself this question quite a bit. What can be done? And I pray on this question. What can be done? God, use me as your instrument. What can be done? And as I analyze the situation, I realize that one of these corporations, which is part of the system of thievery, has a name on it, which I find particularly interesting. And so I'm just going to say right now, I believe that we need to confront corporations. It has to happen. And it has to happen for a lot of reasons. One of them is economics. Another one is just the biosustainability of the earth. When I look at this huge armada of corporations, one particular area screams to me. It says, here, start here, right here. This is the place to start. And friends, I have to tell you right now, there are folks making a lot of money off of oat products sold under the name Quaker. I remember the first time I started becoming involved with Friends, and I'd seen this oat product my whole life, never thought about it twice, until I became a part of the Society of Friends. And then it really started offending me that this corporation, which is owned by Pepsi-Cola, was making millions of dollars on my name, my good name. And they were not using sustainable practices for agriculture. They were not using the money in ways which I thought were spiritually appropriate. They were doing things, they are doing things in my name, under the name of Quaker, which I find morally abhorrent. And so I think back to the time of Jesus in the temple, being bold and speaking directly to the money changers and throwing over the table. What would it look like today if we threw over the tables of Quaker Corporation, of Quaker Oats? There's a movement afoot, friends. You know, we are, sometimes we're part of it, we're not part of it. This 99% movement, they use consensus decision making. They are caring about the same economic injustices which Jesus, our teacher, cared about. There's a lot of problems with the movement. I'm not going to say they're perfect. They are not perfect. But they are good. If the Quaker movement were to wrap their arms around the 99% movement, and let me just say this right now, at the beginning of our movement, we got in trouble because we refused to doff our caps to the 1%ers, right? We are a 99% spiritual movement. We were in the beginning, and we are now. We always will be. We are the voice, the authentic, true voice of the people. We have a duty and a responsibility to lift up those which are being robbed from. I feel very powerfully that we as a movement, the Friends movement, need to mobilize, we need to gain allies and work in coalition and aim an arrow directly at Quaker Oats. We can focus the attention of the movement on a specific spot. We can inject the movement with spirit. And people need spirit. Terribly, awfully bad. More than any other time in history, they need spirit. How are we going to bring it to them? We're going to bring it to them with bold action. By naming the thieves, as Jesus did. By turning over their tables. The example of Jesus tells us that we have to do something. And it is time for us to accept the blessings of the peacemaker. It is time for us to gain the inheritance of the meek in a meek way. And this is what pacifism is. It's a meek resistance form. Nobody is in danger when we involve in these type of tactics. We have an opportunity before us and a very real corporate structure which is using our name. And so what I am proposing is that we sue them in court, that we show up in their fields where they're growing food, and we show and highlight that they are not using sustainable ecological methods of growing food. We show up at the stores. I am talking about a full campaign where we take on Quaker Oats. And in so doing, we will be naming the thieves and creating the space for our inheritance.